Now, as part of your resume, you mentioned that in paragraph 2.1.7 of your 212 statement, that you also did some training on microphotography. What is that?
That's the photography. You have an exhibit and a test, or exhibits to compare.
Yes.
That's the way to take a photograph to give an illustration to the court what you see on the microscope.
Shuthi ke khona lana ke kuyi profile yami ngishilo lapha ukuthi ne microphotography ngiyenzile ngiyengaqeqeshwa khona lapho ke kanti ke lokho kusho ukuthi nje uthatha ingxenye zobufakazi uyayiqhathanisa ngaphansi kwe microscope ubese ke uthatha ithombe lokho kubonayo ngaphansi kwe microscope yilokho uzothatha isithombe sakho ubese ke uzokulungiselela ke kube ingxenye yobufakazi la enkantolo ezolekelela inkantolo.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's just what I wanted to understand with the microphotographic process. Now you're saying again that on page 3 of your 212 statement,
Yes, sir.
that the exhibits that were handed in 3.2 and 3.3, you did not mark them.
Yeah, my lord, many times when he sent in some cartridges and he's now actually asking to examine the emanation, he does do it by visually examine the emanation. If you have asked to examine it completely, then you will take the whole cartridge apart so that the bullet is one side, the propellant, and the prime cartridge case is one side.
Shuthi uma ucela ukuthi uvivinyo ke okanye uwenze ke ivivinyo kwingxenye zobufakazi kakhulukazi sibheke ku 3.2 no 3.3 sivele sithathe sibheke ngokubheka nje kuphela ngaphandle ukuthi sivuleke sihlephule senze ingxenye kanti ke uma becelile ke ukuthi yenzani ke isivivinyo esiphelele kulapho ke sizohlephula inhlamvu yonke sikhipha icartridge sibheke nalahlala khona ipowder nenhlamvu le engena emzimbeni lokho ke siyakwazi ukuthi sikwenze ingalokho ke ngibhalela na ukuthi not marked.
So in other words, you do your investigations according to the request that you receive.
Yeah.
Ngamanye amazwi yebo mina ngenza ke uphenyo lwami ukuya ke ngalokho engicelwe khona ukuthi mangikwenze.
Thank you, sir. Further on in paragraph number 6, you say that you fired an ammunition used for test purposes and you marked them 3690C1, 3690C2.
Sorry, is it recorded? There's an allegation that there's no signal that your machine is recording. But you say it is recording. Hello? Oh, I see. Okay, fine.
As it is the court, my lord. And then you also 3690B1 and 3690B2. These tests were fired in the pistol mentioned in 3.1.
That's correct, my lord.
Kanti ke lezi vivinyo ke ezenziwe khona laphana uma sibheka ku paragraph or sub paragraph 6.2 inhlamvu zasetshenziswa ke injongo iyakhona ke bekungukuthi kwenziwe ivivinyo emva kwalokho zase ke ziyamakho kanye zaphawulwa ke kuthiwa enye ethi 369 TC1 kanti okunye kwathiwa i369 TC2 lokho kwenzwa phezulu kwama cartridge case okunye kwathiwa ke i369 TB1 okunye 369 TB2 lokho kwenziwa ke ivivinyo zenziwa phezulu kweinhlamvu kwasetshenziswa ke isibhamu esivelela khona lapha yana ke kwi subparagraph 3.1.
Now, these tests exhibits, if I were to call them that way, were these cartridges, were they your own cartridges or were the cartridges that you found in that green box?
No, my lord, we are issued with ammunition
Yes.
on a you have your own stack of ammunition that you use for test purposes. It's just exceptional calibers that you don't, that's not usually used. Then you can go and book it out at the ammo safe at the second floor. But usually this is ammo that's been allocated to you to use for test purposes.
Okay.
Lezi inhlamvu ezikhishwayo esinikezwa zona ukuthi zizo sebenza ke ukwenza ivivinyo lezo. Inhlamvu ezashetshenziswa ngenkathi ke kutholakala lesi sibhamu okukhulunywa ngaso. Kanti ngale ku second floor bayakwazi ke ukuthi basinikeze lezo inhlamvu esizoyisebenzisa mayelana ke nevivinyo. Kukhona ke amakaliber athize esinganikezwa wona kufanele ukuthi uze uye khona lapho uyobhuka lawo makaliber ukuze ukwazi ukunikezwa inhlamvu lezo.
So answer the question, no, I did not use any of this cartridges that I received.
Ukuphendula lo mbuzo ke futhi ukuthi azange ngisebenzise ezinye zeinhlamvu engayithola ke.
Now-
Kabazi ehambelana nalesi sibhamu.
Now, did I hear you correctly when you say, for the purposes of the testing, you used full military jacket, the FMJ?
That's correct. That's a military ammunition made by PMP, and I fired 2 shots with that
Yes.
ammunition.
Shuke ngasebenzisa ke zona lezo inhlamvu eqhamuka khona ke okanye zakhe kuzwa yiyo PNP kanti ngadubula ka2 ngazo lezo inhlamvu.
And did I further hear you correctly when you say there's also a complete military jacket, but the full military jacket, it's a more stronger version than the complete military jacket. Than
it's
the
harder
complete
and it's
military
stronger.
jacket.
That's
Yes.
correct, my lord.
A complete military jacket yona ke iqine kakhulu ukundlula lena full military jacket.
Let's repeat that. Of the 2 types of ammunition that you used, the full military jacket and the complete military jacket, which one is stronger than the other?
The FMJ, the full metal jacket, will be harder than the CMJ, complete metal jacket. It's that softer copper that's used for the jacket.
Thank you.
Around the bullet core.
FMJ kahle kahle yona ke eqine kakhulu ukundlela CMJ.
Thank you. Would there be a particular reason why you opted to use this full military jacket instead of the complete military jacket when you had to investigate?
No, my lord, it's only because that's the ability to do the test with. That's the only reason that I shot FMJs, 9mm parabellums, in the firearm that was tested.
Asikho esinye isizathu ngaphandle kokuthi izona inhlamvu abasinikeza zona lezo ama FMJs ukuthi senze ivivinyo ngazo. Hayi kangako ukuthi ngiyayikhethela ukuthi ngifuna ziphi inhlamvu kwenza ivivinyo ngazo.
Now, after you had fired these test exhibits, do you then take time to look at them and satisfy yourself that in an event that a scene exhibit were to come, you would be able to compare that exhibit from the scene and these test exhibits?
No, my lord, if it's only a firearm, after I fire that test, I will seal it in that seal bag and seal it in my docket. When there's another exhibits coming in to investigate, I will open it and have a look at it then, and I will compare the exhibits, and then I'll compare the exhibits with the test fired. So it be the cartridge case or the bullet.
Kanti ke engikwenzayo uma ngabe mhlambe isibhamu sodwa esilethwa kimi ngiyasithatha ngisifaka phakathi kwe evidence bag. Uma ngabe khona ezinye ingxenye zobufakazi ezizayo emva kwesikhathi ngizokwazi ukuthi ngivule le evidence bag leyo bese ke ngiyaqhathanisa ke nalezo ngxenye lezo zobufakazi ezilethwayo ubona ukuthi ke ngendlela ke esidubula ngakhona ke ngiyahambelana.
let me put my question in the following way. Is it not so that when you fire these test exhibits, you want to find out if the individual or class characteristics that are in the firearm are transferred into this either the bullets or, I mean, the test bullet or the test cartridge is not so?
My Lord, there's no use in comparing the fire to test cartridge case or the fire test bullets to each other. I know it's from the same firearm.
Yes.
And they would be marking, so it's no use for me to have a look at them when only the firearm is received.
Asikho-ke isizathu sokuthi ngaphinde futhi ngenze ivivinyo ukuzama ukubona ukuthi lesi sibhamu siyakwazi ukuthi singinikeze impawu zaso leso sibhamu kakhulukazi-ke individual okanye i-class characteristics kuyo okanye kuzo lezi inhlamvu engiyisebenzisayo ama-cartridges. Uma ngabe-ke isibhamu kuyisona engiyisitholayo njengengxenye yobufakazi.
Let's understand each other, say, on this one. I am saying to you, the reason why you are firing these test bullets, it is because you want those characteristics that are on the firearm that you would have received as an exhibit, either the individual characteristics or the class characteristics of the firearm, to be transferred into the bullets that you are firing as test bullets, not so?
Yeah, that will be carried over from the firearm to the cartridge, fired cartridge case or the bullet.
Yes.
Uthi yebo ngiyakuzwa. Uma ngenza lezi vivinyo ke ngidubula lesi sibhamu ngisebenzisa lezi inhlamvu enginikezwe zona ukuzama ukuthola ama bonisa ke ukuthi lesi sibhamu sikwazile ukususa ke impawu zaso zafike zafaka ke lezo impawu zaso kulezi inhlamvu ezidutshuliwe uma kwenza lezo ivivinyo.
Now back to my initial questions. After you have done this firing, do you then look at these test bullets or the test cartridges to find out if what you intend to do with them later on?
My Lord, I believe I already answered that question, but no, I didn't have a look at them. I just file it in the back and seal it.
Because
Okay,
there's no
no.
comparative ammunition.
That's correct.
And
my
you
Lord.
don't have a docket which you are investigating at that stage. Actually here, as I read it, is to find out if this firearm is in good working order and whether it's centrally ejecting the bullets.
Yeah, and if it, and to keep that exhibit, that test bullets and
IBS,
and the cartridge cases for future
That's it.
comparison to exhibits or other cases.
Yes.
Ngakusho lokho ke ukuthi lezi ibhamu okanye ukudubula kwami lezi inhlamvu kusetshenziswa ke lengxenye yobufakazi okuyisibhamu ukwenzela ke ukuthi mhlambe kusasa uma khona ingxenye ezithize zobufakazi ezilethwa khona laphana ke thina sikwazi ke ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi kube ziyaqhathaniswa kodwa ngaleso sikhathi mina angiphenyi kangaka ngoba nedokete alikho la kimi ukuthi ngathi ke ngiyaqhathanisa ke ukuthi uma ngidubula lezi inhlamvu ngifuna ukubona ke ukuthi yizo lezi inhlamvu ezifana nezinhlamvu ezasetshenziswa kuphi kuphi. Hayi ngaleso sikhathi mina ngivele nje ngenze umsebenzi wami ukwenzela ukuthi kusasa kwazi umuntu ozosebenza ngalezo ingxenye zobufakazi akwazi ukuqhathanisa ke nezingxenye ezintsha zobufakazi ezilethwa khona lapha yana.
Thank you, sir. Now you testified that at some later stages, on a number of occasions, you were requested to make some comparison from the exhibits that are in question here. That's now the ammunition that is mentioned in 6.2 with a particular firearm.
Yeah, this firearms tests that I used in two cases that I compared it once to one case and the other time to I think it was 5 other cases that I gas numbers that I also compared it to.
Yes.
Kusho ukuthi ke ku 6.2 lapho ke kukhona ukuqhathaniswa okukhona ngokuthi kwenziwe lezi ivivinyo la ukuye kwadutshulwa khona ke ngamaqala amabili namanye futhi amaqala awu5 esinawo lapho ke ngisho ukuthi kwenziwa ke ivivinyo zokuqhathanisa.
Amongst others, you mention an Alexander case, not so?
That's correct, my lord.
Kwamanye ama case ngikhulumile ngecase yase Alexandra.
Now, without to get into the merits of the Alexander case, if I follow your evidence, is that you will say if that is not what happened, is that in that Alexander case, there's an exhibit that you received that was allegedly picked up to the scene that you had to compare with those exhibits that are mentioned in 6.2.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo yabona kula maqala kule qala lese Alexandra njengomzekelo kukhona ingxenye ke zobufakazi ezadotshwa khona lapha yana ukuthi zizoqhathaniswa ke nezingxenye zobufakazi eziqhamuka lana kule subparagraph 6.2.
Again, without to getting deep into the merits of the case, what were the results?
My lord, I made, if I'm correct, yeah, I made the cartridge cases.
Yes.
I received some cartridge cases in the Alexandra case as well.
Yes.
5 cartridge cases.
Yes.
And I made my tests.
Kule case yase Alexandra ngathola ama cartridge case awu5
Yes.
kanti ke ngawaqhathanisa ke la.
I made a few cartridge cases positive to that firearms test fire cartridge case.
Kanti
That
ke
case.
how many cartridges?
A few. I didn't
Kanti
see the
ama
number.
cartridge ambalwa ke kwaba ubona ke ama cartridge afaniswa ke ngqo ushuthi afanana shuthi kwaba positive uma kwenziwa ivivinyo lezo.
Thank you, sir. So, you were able to compare those Alexandra scene cartridges and these cartridges that are mentioned in 6.2, which you fired as test bullets and cartridges, and you find that
They
some
match,
of those
yeah.
exhibits match each
Yeah.
other.
It was fired from the same firearm.
Yes.
In the same firearm.
Ilokho engikushoyo ke ukuthi ngaqhathanisa ke ingcenye zobufakazi engayithola lapha yana esigamekweni sase Alexandra nezingcenye zobufakazi eziqhamuka lana ke ku 6.2 subparagraph 6.2 kwaba ke nokufanana okuthize ngamanye amazwi kwaba kwabonisa ke ukuthi leso sibhamu esasetshenziswa kuleyo ndawo yesigameko Alexandra yisona ke lesi sibhamu esisebenze la ukuya ke ngokuqukethwe i6.2.
Again, without mentioning the merits of the case, are there any, because in your evidence you also mentioned a number of instances where you had to do the same comparison on this lab case number 34369 of 2015. Are there any other positive results in terms of your investigation that you were able to link with other scenes?
No, that's the only.
Okay.
Iyona kuphela ke awekho amanye ama case ake athathaniswa kakhulukazi sibhekelele icala ke le 34359 2015 awekho ke amanye.
That's the only that I'm aware of.
Yes.
Iyona yodwa ke leyo case engiyicaphelayo ukuthi kunokufana nokuthiza.
Now, back to that Alexander case, in comparison with these exhibits in 6.2, did you have to fire extra ammunition?
No.
Kuleyo case yase Alexandra azange kube nesidingo sokuthi ngiphinde ngidubule ezinye inhlamvu uma ngiqhathanisa ke ne 6.2 le sibhizi ngayo manje.
Thank you, sir. Now, I'm going to repeat what my colleague said, Mr. Ramusipili. I'm just a nobody here with regard to the ballistic expertise, just a nobody trying to find out what is happening there. Now, in the storage, my question might not be so intelligent, you see. But in the course of the storage of these test bullets and the test cartridges, do they sometimes lose shape? Do they wear off? Or what's the position?
No. It's sealed in that seal back and there it stays. The only one that opened this was me,
Yes,
and I think on a later stage, if you see that affidavit,
yes,
it was Colonel Mangena that opened it.
yes.
In this last bag that I told the court that I sealed it in, and that is that 7, that end with a 799.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Hayi kangako ukuthi uma sekuthathwa ingxenye zobufakazi ngoba zibekwe khona laphayana sengisho khona wona lama test bullets or cartridges ake alahlekelwe ke ukubumbeka kwawo lawo mabullet ngaphandle kokuthi ke sike sasebenza phezulu kwawo ke le ingxenye zobufakazi njengoba kuvelela khona laphayana kwi sealback number that ends with what sealback number le ephelela ngo 799 uma ngena nayo ke wasebenza kuyo.
Thank you, sir. Now, will I be correct? Do I understand you to mean, and you will say so if that's not what you are implying, that you did this test in 2015 on the 13th of February? That's now according to your...
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, kuyiqiniso ke le vivinyo ngazenza nge 13th ka February 2015.
Now, assume for a minute, let's just create a hypothetical situation. You said these test bullets and cartridges were then filed with your CABS, the case administration of the ballistic section, not so?
You're referring to what paragraph now?
I'm referring to paragraph number 10.
Number 10, yeah.
Yeah.
10.2, I sealed it in that exhibit back, in
Yes.
that lab number.
Yes.
That's where it stayed. And I was opening it like I was doing the comparison to Alexandra,
Yes.
to that other few cases, and then we opened it again for the court preparation.
Thank you.
Uthi yebo ke ku paragraph 10.2 nga vula ke leyo bheke ene seal number leyo njengoba iqhamuka okanye ivelela khona lapho kwi sub paragraph 10.2 ngase ke ngiyayiqhathanisa ke nale case yase Alexandra namanye ke ambalwa ama case engingakhuluma ngawo phambilini.
Thank you. Would I then be correct to say that those marks that were transferred to the test bullets or the test cartridges from the barrel of the firearm that was in question here, they form a permanent feature of these test bullets and the test cartridges that you worked on?
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo kuyiqiniso lawo maphawu kanye lezo impawu sululeka phezwe o eyisuleleka phezwe kwama cartridge lawo okwenzwa ivivinyo ngawo okanye lezi inhlamvu okwenzwa ivivinyo ngazo lezo impawu zohlala lapho kulezo zinto ke ingxenye zobufakazi umphelele.
Thank you, sir. You know, the reason why I had to go to such a lengthy exercise, because I just wanted to get the background of what is happening when you fire or when you do this testing. But in essence, this is where I was trying to come at. Mr. Mangena said, upon receipt of the firearm in question, he went to the administrative section that CABS, the case administration of the ballistic section of the of your institution. He went there and retrieved the exhibits that are mentioned in 6.2 and those that are mentioned in 10.2, I think that's the same thing, not so. 6.2 and 10.2
Yeah.
relates to the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went there, found those exhibits with a view to compare them with the exhibit that was found at the phosphorescence scene. Do you follow?
What scene is that? Is that now where the deceased was
Yes,
shot now?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sorry. When we will say phosphorescence, we're talking about the scene where the
Okay,
deceased,
no,
in
no,
this
I'm
case,
with you
in
now,
this
I'm with you
case,
now, I'm with
yeah.
you now.
Now he says, on his determination or on his quest to try and find out if there's a similarity between the exhibit that was found at the phosphorescence scene and the cartridges, the test and the bullet cartridges that you fired from this firearm, he found that the markings that were transferred through the firing process to the test bullets and the test cartridges were not of such a good quality that it could be enabled to make such a determination.
Yeah.
That's not just evidence.
Yeah, that's how, yeah.
As it please the court, my lord, let me rephrase my question. He said,
No, but the way you're phrasing it, Mangena never said that.
that's the reason why there was an objection from the state, my lord, and I understand quite correctly that there could in any event be an objection, which is the reason why I'm saying, let me rather rephrase my question. And I'm going to rephrase my question by specifically referring to what he says in his report. Thank you. Just a minute. As it please the court, my lords. Now he says, that is Mangena's report, Exhibit 13, X-ray 13, Charlie. That's the name of the exhibit. Now he says in paragraph 6.1, okay, let us say, he starts in paragraph 6.6, where he says, I examined the fired bullets mentioned in 3.1 and 4.2 and compared the individual and class characteristics marking transferred to them by firearm components during the firing process using a comparison microscope and found 6.1. There is sufficient class characteristics, but insufficient individual characteristics marking transferred to these bullets by firearm components during the firing process, which could be due to the difference in bullet material. As a result, I took a decision to obtain additional tests of the same material as the exhibit bullet.
Usho njalo ke le statement sakhe uMangena and ngizosifunda ke uthi ngahlolisisa okanye ngenza ivivinyo kuyinhlamvu ezizadubuleka kakhulukazi ke njengoba zivelela lapha kuyisaf paragraph 3.1 no 4.2 ngase ke ngiyaqhathanisa ke ama individual and class characteristics ushuthi ke impawu zakhona ezike zasuleleka uma kwenzwa lezo ivivinyo zokudubula lesibhamu kanti ke inqubo kwakuyiyona ke ukwenza ivivinyo ngaphansi kwe microscope ngase ngithola ukuthi kukhona ke impawu okanye khona ukubonakalayo ke uma sibheke lapha yana kwi class characteristics kanti ke uma siza kwi individual characteristics ama marking wakhona okanye impawu zakhona azanele eziye zasuleleka uma kwenza ke lezo vivinyo zokudubula kanti ngase ngiyabona ke ukuthi umehluko mhlambe kungenzeka ukuthi yilokho okwasetshenziswa ke ukwakha leyo nhlamvu okanye ukukhiqiza leyo nhlamvu imaterial yakhona ngenxa yalokho ke ngase ngiyachubeka ke mina ngithatha isinqumo sokuthi makuphinde ngenze ezinye ivivinyo phezulu kwematerial yona leyo efanayo yale ngxenye yokufakaza okuyinhlamvu.
Just before you respond, he said the reason why there could be insufficient individual characteristics marking that were transferred to this bullet by the firearm components, it could be because the test bullets and the test cartridges were of a weaker quality. In fact, he also referred to the complete military jacket. He also said that it could be because of the fact that they were of a weaker quality, meaning the ammunition that was used there was that one of a complete military jacket. And he then took a decision to use a stronger version of an ammunition, which was the full military jacket, which is as it glides through the barrel, is able to carry all the marks up until the end.
It's actually the opposite of what he said. And the fact of the matter is they asked that Colonel Mangena should stand down. Now they're
quite.
cross-examining this witness on what Colonel Mangena said. We think it's unfair on this witness.
Let Mr. Mnisi, if he wants to explore that, that's why I say warrant officer Rudolph is an expert. If you use this,
No, I don't want to use
no,
that.
no,
Manuel.
because
I don't
then
want to use this.
what reference point are you? That's why.
My Lord, can I just say something, if I may, if it please the court? I think the only thing that...
I'm not done with my questioning, sir.
You don't want him to say something?
No. What
No,
I'm saying-
just say what you want to say.
what
How
I'm
can a
saying-
witness? A witness is here to assist the court also.
Yes, my lord.
What do you want to say, sir?
I don't want to testify about Colonel Mangena's affidavit, but what I can say is the material, I think that the way that that Colonel Mangena thinks is that because of the FMJ is a very thick and solid and hard copper jacket, and the CMJ is softer. So with the pressure behind the bullet and expands in the barrel, you will find markings on the FMJ, but not as quality and as many as on the CMJ. Because the CMJ is softer, it picks up more markings in the barrel. And as the photo that I see on the monitor here showed it was a CMJ bullet. So it would make sense for me to fire CMJ tests to get the same markings because it's the same thickness of the jacket and it's softer, so it will pick up better markings and quality markings than this FMJ that's a harder compound copper jacket. And that's what I can say about this, my lord.
Engakusho nje ukuthi uma sikhuluma nge-CMJ ne-FMJ, i-CMJ icishe ungazuthi yona ithambile uma kwenza ivivinyo ngazo, kanti-ke iyakwazi ukuthi ithathe impawu okanye igcoke impawu zokudubuleka kwesibhamu kakhulukazi kakhulu ukundlula i-FMJ ngoba yona-ke ayicinanga njenge-FMJ. Ngaleyo ndlela-ke uma kusetshenziswa i-CMJ iyona ekwazi ukuphana-ke ngemiphumela ebonakalayo kakhulu ukundlula kakhulu laphana kwi-FMJ.
Maybe that answers your question, sir. Maybe that might answer your question.
You say that maybe answer my question.
Yeah, the explanations that I just given, it might answer your question that you asked me. I don't know.
That is not my primary question. That is actually a secondary one. The primary one is coming. That is, in fact, Mr. Mangena just said the opposite of what you've just said. But let's go on. Now, you are telling this court that on the very same exhibits that you fired as test cartridges and test bullets, you were able to compare the scene exhibit from Alexander without having had to fire, without having had to fire another test bullet or some other test bullets in order to make such a comparison. Now, the primary question is, in your own opinion, or in your own view as an expert, if we are able to compare the scene exhibit from Alexander without having had to fire further test bullets with those that you fired on the 18th on the 13th of February 2015. Why would the tests that were conducted by Mr. Mangena have to require a further firing of further bullets? A further firing of test and cartridge bullets?
My Lord, as I can refer
Yes,
to paragraph 6.1 of Colonel Mangena, he said an additional test of the same material as the exhibit bullet. Here we're talking only about the bullets. The hardness of the FMJ, the thick copper jacket and the lighter copper jacket, the thinner copper jacket, that's softer. We're not talking about the cartridge cases. In my Alexandra case, I examined the 5 test cartridge cases with cartridge cases that came from the scene in Alexandra, and that I could make positive.
Manje ke uma sikhuluma ke ngeqala lase Alexandra ukuthathenisa kobufakazi Alexandra ke kwaxoxeka ke ama cartridge cases aqhathaniswa ke nezingxenye zobufakazi ezazikhona kanti ke uma sibheka lokho okukhulunywa ke ubamangena kwistatement sakhe lana usebenzise ke ama bullet ukuthi mhlambe usebenzise ama CMJ okanye FMJ kwasetshenziswa ke ama bullet lana ukuqhathanisa.
Sorry, but you...
So we actually, my Lord, is just...
Okay.
No,
Comment.
My Lord, is actually we are talking just about the hardness of the different bullets, the CMJ and the FMJ. That's why the difference is, and that's why Colonel Mangena wanted to fire CMJs as well. Because of the bullet that came from the scene is a CMJ, and that makes sense to me to get the best markings on that one.
Fine. So I understood him. But the point is, you had 5 cartridges in the Alexander case. Of bullets.
That I made positive.
Yeah, No. The ones you found on the scene, they found on the scene. How many were they?
In the Alexandra case, there was 16 9mm parabellum caliber cartridges.
16.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
the
made
point.
positive.
And how many were positive?
I made 9 positive.
Out of the 16
Yeah.
that were fired.
The other cartridge was not that firearm.
Yeah, but the point is, about 16 cartridges were fired there.
Yeah.
And when you were testing, conducting your investigative tests, 9 were positive.
Yeah, when I opened that test again and compared it to that, that's why the cartridge cases is fine.
Yeah.
Compared it, but
Yeah.
the bullets is the problem because of the hardness of the
Okay,
jackets.
fine.
And that's why Colonel Mangena also wanted to fire CMJs, so it's the same.
Yeah. No, me, I'm talking about the question, how is it possible that Mangena would want to repeat the test? But the point is, you had 16 to work on, right? And Mangena had 2. And actually, if the truth be told, it's 1. Because the other one is, he said it was irreducibly damaged.
But
Okay.
still, my Lord, is just going about the hardness of
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
the copper jacket, how
Yeah,
it
fine.
transfer
Okay.
marks from the barrel.
All right, yes,
Into
sir.
engayisho lana ke ukuthi kwaba ke nama test awu 16 enziwayo kanti kulama test enziwayo awu 16 wase Alexandra kwaba ne9 ematchayo ngamanye amazwi yaba positive. Manje ke uma siza odabeni likaMangena uMangena yena ke uphinde wenza ezinye ivivinyo ngenxa yale material ngoba sesikhulumile ke ukuthi khona imaterial eqinile kanti khona le material engathi ke ithe ukuthamba iCMJ yona engathi ithambile kanti iFMJ ayithambile iqinile uma ke kwenzwa ivivinyo ngeFMJ iFMJ kunokwenza ukuthi ingaphanike ngeimpawu eyibonakalayo kanye eyigqamile ukundlula impawu engatholakala kusetshenziswa ke inhlamvu eyeCMJ ilokho ke engushoyo ukuthi uMangene waphinde wasebenzisa ke okanye wenza ezinye ivivinyo ezu2 kanti ke inhlamvu eyodwa ke kwaba inhlamvu eyayimoshakele okanye eyayiwonakele.
So, as an expert, my final point on this one, Mr. Mangena set exactly the opposite of what you just said now. He said he initially, the bullets, the test bullets that he had to, the test bullet and cartridges that he had to work on were of a weaker quality. Instead, he had to fire test bullets, or he had to fire ammunition of a stronger quality, the one which you yourself are saying you fired for the test purposes. I think that is just the gist of my question.
My Lord, if I can refer to paragraph 6.1 again, the last sentence there.
Yeah.
A decision to obtain additional tests for the same material as the exhibit bullet.
That's it.
And that's a CMJ, and that's why he fired CMJ bullets as well. Because on the FMJ we'll get markings, but not so good and not so many as on the CMJ. Because of the softness.
Mhlambe ngaze ngisho futhi ukhuluma khona lana ke kuyi sentence yokugcina kuyi statement sakamangena khona la ku paragraph 6.1 or sub paragraph 6.1 uthi ke additional tests kusho ukuthi ezinye ivivinyo kwamele ukuthi zenziwe kusetshenziswa wona lo material weyingxenye zobufakazi ezitholakele enkantolo ukuze ke kukwazi ukugcama. Ngamanye amazwi ke lokho akusebenzisile i-CMJ ngoba ingxenye zobufakazi yizo lezo ze-CMJ.
That is what Mr. Mangena said. But nonetheless, let's proceed.
I can't comment what he said, sir.
Yes.
Angeke ngikwazi ukuphawula ke ngalokho khulunywa uMangena ke.
Thank you, sir. Now, when forensic investigators attend to a scene of crime, they arrive at the scene, they do their own investigation, and they pick up exhibits at the scene. Now, how should I deal with those exhibits from that moment onward?
Usually, my Lord, according to my orders that I was given of crime scenes, you put out markings where this exhibit is lying. You make a sketch, you photograph the exhibit, but it's still LCRC's responsibility to collect that exhibit, pack it and send it to the lab. That's according to me. I don't know. That is how I would do it on a crime scene.
Uyabona ngenjwayelo ke ithimba lama forensic liyofika ke lapho endaweni yesigameko bese ke likwazi ke ukubeka ama marking okanye amaphawo la ama exhibits atholakala khona kanti ke baphinde futhi benze ne sketch kanti ke labo be LCRC bayokwazi ke ukuthi baxoxe lezo zinto ke bayifake ngaphakathi kwamasaka wobufakazi bese ke lezo ingxenye zofakazi ziyathathwa ziswa khona lapha laboratory ukuthi kuyokwenziwa ke ivivinyo ingendlela engazi ngakhona ukuthi bafike basebenza kanjani mafike endaweni yesigameko.
That's now how you know it's supposed to be done.
That's how I would do it, sir.
Ingendlela mina ebengenza ngakhona uma ngifike endaweni yesigameko.
Thank you. Now, a forensic expert is phoned. It's just a hypothetical situation again. A forensic expert from the Forensic Science Laboratory is phoned by some investigating officer who is involved in a particular case. Let's say it's arson or whatever. Now, that investigating officer says to the Forensic Science Laboratory, can you please go to a particular police station, go fetch and such an exhibit for analysis. How does that situation supposed to be dealt with?
I don't really know. I can't answer that, my Lord. Never happened to me. But I suppose you can go and fetch it at the station because there's a register that you book it out in that seal bag, everything, and then you can bring it back to the lab, or you can otherwise ask the investigation officer to go and collect that firearm, bring it into the lab for re-examination. There's both two ways that you can do it. I don't know which is preferable, because I have never done something like that.
Angaze ke mina ngiyenza into enjalo ke okhulunywa ngayo lana ke yokuthi mhlambe kukhona ke isigaba ke senzakele kanti ke i-forensic expert yafonelwa khona ukuqhamuka khona laphana ku-forensic science laboratory fonelwa mhlambe uye lona ophenya icala ake sithi icala nje le-arson ukushiswa kwesakhiwo uthi ke ukuze ke kube nengxenye zofakazi ezilandwayo khona laphayana mhlambe e-station samaphoyisa ke zithathwe le ngxenye zofakazi ziswe khona laphana e-FSL uthi angazi kahle ke ukuthi basebenza kanjani khona lapho kodwa ke umuntu ngiyacabanga ukuthi angakwazi ukuthi aye e-police station afike athatheke lezo ingxenye zobufakazi okanye kucelwe yena u-IO ukuthi makalethe lezo ingxenye zobufakazi or ama-exhibits alethwe khona laphana e-laboratory ukuze kuyokwenzwa ke ivivinyo okanye uphenyo ngalezo ingxenye zobufakazi.
Thank you. Did I hear you correctly at the end of your statement that you don't know how these things are done because you have never done something like
I have
this?
never gone collect a firearm from the SAP 13 for investigation.
Forensic bag.
Then there's a slippy at the